What's up, guys? Matty Boy Walker here. Can you believe it is Sunday the 20th of January? We're near the end of January already. It's absolutely crazy. This is one I've been wanting to do for a while. And it's based on rock and metal bands touring without the original members. Some with hardly any original members, some with 3 original members. And anyway, so I'm going to get to it. So as you can see, today I am wearing my Judas Priest Redeemer of Souls t-shirt. I will be going to see the Mighty Priest, as I've got on in the background. I will be going to see them on the 7th of February at the Hydro in Glasgow, along with Ozzy Osbourne. In my opinion, it should be Priest headlining, but that's another story. And when I go and see Priest, it will be without KK Downing, who left the band in 2011 for reasons that are still getting unravelled today, and also without Glenn Tipton, who was their guitarist on all their albums and unfortunately had to leave the band earlier last year due to his ongoing battle with Parkinson's, which we did not know about. But apparently he's been suffering it for years. So in Glenn's place is apparently Andy Sneap, who is a producer and a guitarist of a band which I can't really remember the name of. But he's a producer first and foremost now, and he's been playing in Glenn's place, and he's been doing pretty well as far as I could see on the videos. And you still have Rob Halford on vocals, Ian Hill on bass, who many people mock, and I have no idea why. He's not a songwriter, he stands at the back playing quietly, and he does the job, and he clearly loves what he's doing. And I really, really admire him for that, for doing this for 40 plus years, along with Halford. And Scott Travis, who came into the band for the Painkiller album and tour in 1990, and has been with them ever since. Now, is it still Priest? To me it is, yeah, because in my opinion Richie Faulkner, who replaced KK Downing, brought a bit of life back into Priest. KK wasn't enjoying it anymore, and Richie absolutely nails it. He nails it with the band. He's phenomenal, he's incredible, and I, for one, when I saw them on the Epitaph tour, thought absolutely amazing. However, when I heard that Glenn left, I kind of thought, what are they going to do? But you know what? It's still the music for me. I know that there's many die-hard fans out there who want to see the original band, but take what you can, because these guys are not going to be around much longer, and it's a celebration of the music and the people coming together just to have a really good time. And if Kake's not there and Glenn's not there, then Andy and Richie do it justice. They really do. Many people said that with Judas Priest, as long as you've got Rob Halford, Glenn Tipton and KK Downing there, as long as they're there, then Priest are there. If Ian Hill left tomorrow, nobody would really notice. Bringing another bass player will carry on. I don't really agree with that, but I'm happy that I'm going to see them for a third time, and I'm looking forward to it. It's been a good 4 or 5 years since I last saw Priest, so absolutely brilliant. Another one for that matter is Lynyrd Skynyrd. Now, Lynyrd Skynyrd, as we know, they lost the late great Ronnie Van Zant and Steve Gaines, and backup singer Cassie Gaines and assistant road manager Dean Kilpatrick in the horrendous plane crash in 1977 over a Mississippi pine forest. And since then, Lynyrd Skynyrd carried on. In 1987, the band got back together with Johnny Van Zant, the brother of Ronnie, on vocals, and Alan Collins was paralysed 2 years before that, so he could not take part, and he unfortunately died from complications from the paralysed disease in 1990. And then bass player Leon Wilkinson sadly passed away in 2001, and keyboard player Billy Powell passed away in 2009. Artemis Pyle, the drummer, was kicked out of the band in 1991. So who is in Lynyrd Skynyrd now that's an original member? Well, Gary Rosington. He's been there since day one, and he was the one, funnily enough, in the plane crash that suffered the most injuries. He was the one that he had a broken pelvis, a broken neck, he broke pretty much everything. The fact that he's still around is incredible. Plus he's had 3 heart attacks, or maybe even 4 in the last few years. But if I get that wrong, guys, feel free to correct me. Now, I will be going to see Lynyrd Skynyrd in June, and I am looking forward to it immensely. I've never seen Skynyrd before. I've always wanted to. Do I still class it as Skynyrd? Well, yes, because Van Zant is there, and Gary Rosington is there, and Ricky Medlock, as a long-time member, has been now for 20 plus years, coming up for 25 years maybe. And yes, it's still Skynyrd. Unfortunately, they've also lost more members along the way. Huey Thomason died They're one of their third guitar players in 2007. He left the band in 2005. Ian Evans, their bass player, who replaced Leon Wilkeson, he passed away from cancer in 2010, I believe. So it's a very, very sad story when it comes to Skynyrd. And also, not to mention, original drummer Bob Burns died in 2015, and we recently, in 2018, lost Ed King, who was the guitar player they had before Steve Gaines joined and helped co-write Sweet Home Alabama. It's a sad story when it comes to Skynyrd, it really is. But do I still think that they have what it takes? Absolutely. It's not the same. It never will be the same. I'm not trying to say that the current Skynyrd lineup is as good as the post-Plane Crash, because of course it isn't. But by God, have you got a fine group of rock and roll players there. Absolutely amazing. And I can't wait. And funnily enough, opening for Lynyrd Skynyrd is another one of my all-time favourite bands, Status Quo. And now, I've seen Status Quo 3 times. I've been lucky enough to also see them with the original Frantic 4 lineup. Francis Rossi, Rick Parfitt, what was his name? Alan Lancaster and John Coughlin. That was in 2014, and it was absolutely incredible. I've seen Quo 3 other times with the post lineup, the current lineup, if you will. Although twice I saw them with a different drummer. Quo's current lineup consists of Francis Rossi on guitar and vocals, longtime keyboard player Andy Bowen on keyboards, guitar and vocals, and also very long-time bass player Rhino Edwards on bass, and he now does most of the parts that Rick did with singing. And on rhythm guitar, taking Rick's place, and he's now stepping into the vocal fold a bit more, you have, I think it's Richie Edwards, his name, or something like that. And he, or Richie Malone, one of the two, Richie Malone, I think. Anyway, and you have Leon Cave on drums, who joined when Matt Malley left in 2012. Is this still Quo? I vowed I would never go and see Status Quo again after Rick died. There's certain bands I'd go and see without members, but Rick was just a huge part of the Quo sound. However, my arm was twisted. I went out and bought the Last Night of the Electrics DVD because I heard that on that tour Rick was suffering from very bad health, and event unfortunately led him this summer to pull out, and he couldn't do the UK leg of the tour. So when Quo went on tour with REO Speedwagon, again, I wish I'd seen that, but I was in Panto at the time, I heard that it was a great show. The arenas were still foolish. I bought the DVD and I really enjoyed it, and I think that it's still a big, again, the audiences were reveling in the fact, and I'm just grateful that I'm still going to hear the songs and the guys are on stage, and it's a tribute to Rick, because when a band dies, you don't necessarily have to break up. You could carry on. The one band I know would never carry on would be Rush. I don't think that Neil Peart is replaceable in the slightest as a drummer. Queen I admire, because Queen are going out as Queen and Adam Lambert. Without John Deacon, of course, without Freddie Mercury. They haven't recorded any new music, and it's a great show. I've seen that. I hold my hand up to them, and, you know, it's a great show. Adam Lambert brings his own to Queen. Another example, Big Country. Now, they're not in the field that I normally associate with, but I've seen them without Stuart Adamson, without Tony Butler. A great show. The Bruce Watson and Mark Mazzucchi really bring the music forward and keeping it alive. It's all about keeping it alive. Thin Lizzy, I'll name a couple more. Thin Lizzy I saw with John Sykes and Scott Gorham. In my opinion, that was the best pre-Linnet, post-Linnet lineup of Lizzy. Of course, that lineup fell apart a few years later, and they got in Ricky Warwick and Damon Johnson, which then became Black Star Riders. That's a video for another time, my thoughts on that band. But I thought that oh, give me a minute, I'm just going to change my tunes. Now, what will I listen to next? I think we'll have some B with C. So yeah, that is another example. So what was another one I might say? Thin Lizzy, that lineup was good with Ricky Warwick, but it wasn't quite the same as the John Sykes when he was singing. It certainly was never the same as Phil Lynott. Wishbone Ash, one original member, Andy Powell, on vocals and guitar. He's had many people in there with the band now. Bob Skeet's been there since '97 on bass. I still think that the original lineup with Martin Turner, Ted Turner, and Steve Upton on drums was by far the best. And Laurie Whitefield when he replaced Ted Turner. But Andy Powell does a kick-ass job with this lineup. He's had going for a while now. He is Wishbone Ash in his eyes. However, Martin Turner's Wishbone Ash are very good as well. And he's had many musicians in and out of that band too. And it's all about keeping the music alive. I'm going to see Dr. Feelgood opening for the Stranglers in March. They've got no original members. But again, if you've been in the band for a certain amount of time, can you go out there as that band and bring happiness to the people who want to hear those songs? Yes, I've got Blue Oyster Cult on now. Only Eric Bloom and Buck Dharma left because Alan Lanier passed away a few years ago, left the band before his death. But they were Blue Oyster Cult. Kiss with Gene Simmons and Paul Stanley. Now, I wouldn't go and see Kiss anymore because I've heard what they sound like now and they're lip syncing and it's wrong and it's insult to the fans. They went out there with Eric Singer and Tommy Thayer. I did think it was a great show because you had Gene Simmons and Paul Stanley there. One more I'm going to talk about, AC/DC. Now, when I saw AC/DC for the last time in 2015, I saw it with Brian Johnson and Angus Young and Cliff Williams. Now, in my opinion, that three classes as originals because they were part of the Back in Black lineup that shot in the stratospheric. You had Stevie Young, who is Malcolm and Angus's nephew, who was filling in for him once before, filled in for Malcolm once before on the Blow Up Your Video tour when Malcolm was in rehab, the US leg anyway. And he did a kick-ass job. And then you had Chris Slade on drums filling in for Phil Rudd. Chris Slade was Tom Jones's drummer, the Firm's drummer. He's drummed with Age, he's drummed with everybody. And he was the drummer on the Razor's Edge album and tour, and he was also the drummer on the Live at Donington DVD and the double AC/DC live album. He did a brilliant job. Was that still AC/DC? Yes. Now, the rumour is that since the whole tour with Axl Rose, since Malcolm Young has now passed away, unfortunately, Angus wants to carry on the legacy of AC/DC, and I think, why not? Was it wrong seeing them without Malcolm? I thought Stevie did a brilliant job. I really did. Could you still call the lineup I saw AC/DC? Yes. With Axl, no, I don't agree with that. I think that they shouldn't have done that and waited for Brian to get better. My opinion. Now apparently that Cliff Williams has retired from the band, there's rumours that Brian Johnson and Phil Rudd are both back in the band, with Phil's problems with the law and Brian's hearing problem. They've managed to work around it apparently, and they're back recording with the band. They've been seen in photo shoots along with Angus Young and Stevie Young. Is that still AC/DC? In my opinion, yes. It would be a bit weird seeing anyone else on bass but Cliff. However, AC/DC are one of my gods and I love them to death. I really do. I think that if they went out there just one more time with Angus, Phil and Brian, it's still AC/DC. You've got Stevie Young on rhythm guitar and get a kick-ass rhythm bass player really who could do the job. If I could play as well as Cliff Williams, I'd apply. Anyway, that's it for today. Let me know what you think in the comments below. I just thought I'd give this a bash. If there's any more bands I could have used in my time for an example as with original members, leave them in the comments below and I will comment back. More videos to come very soon. Have a rocking Sunday, guys. Have a great week ahead, and I will see you soon.